I'm your host, John Myers, live from Stillwater, Oklahoma. We have got a great show tonight. It's John Myers. Hey, everybody. Gotta have my notes. It's John Myers from the Kicker UnMasked Studios. Gotta have my notes. Alternator. Hey, everybody. We have fun. Hey, everybody. Hit like and subscribe. Right here, right now. It's John Myers. We like to give stuff away. Alternator. Post some more pictures. We got to thank Steve and Becky live from Stillwater, Oklahoma. Don't forget Texas Roadhouse right here, right now. Hey, everybody. Don't forget right here, right now. We have got a great show tonight. Hey, everybody. Had a great dinner tonight. It's John Myers. Right here, right now. Had a great dinner tonight. So, hey, everybody. So, housekeeping. Had a great dinner tonight. So, alternator. Housekeeping. Housekeeping. So, Tuesday night.
Microphone.
From the Kicker UnMasked Studios.
Microphone check.
Housekeeping. Right here, right now. Hey, everybody. So, it's John Myers. Hello. The audio
Mine's
light.
working.
Hey, everybody. The audio light is going on. It's John Myers from the Kicker UnMasked Studios. Hey, everybody.
Check.
From the Kicker UnMasked Studios.
Put that up on your collar if you can. Higher.
Right here, right now. We have got a great show tonight. Hey, everybody. We have got a great show tonight.
Check.
It's John Myers. Hey, everybody. Right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, good evening. It is Tuesday night. It is Unmasked, and we're so glad you're here. Tonight, the science of sound. We've got some really smart people in the building tonight. Extra smart from outside the building who are in the building tonight. You're going to meet them. Of course, we've got Aaron Surratt, we've got Peyton and Cameron, and they are two students from Oklahoma State University, and they are here to help drop some science on all of us tonight. Now, I wanted to let you know that we're celebrating not one, not two, but 3 birthdays tonight. Mr. Stephen Bambrow turns, how old, Stephen? Can I say it on live TV? 40. I don't have enough fingers. 40. He turns 40. Not today, but we celebrated tonight. And we had cake, and JW, we missed your birthday because you're not here. You're in Dallas, and we had cake for you too. And Tim Smith, our honorary cameraman, we also had your cake tonight. So thank you all for extra cake. We're going to be paying for it tomorrow. So we've got a great show. Please stick around. We've got to set up the people on the stage with us. So give us a couple of minutes. We'll be right back. All right, come on in.
It's been a long road since the original Kicker christened that first pickup truck. It kicked off a car audio renaissance, and upgrading your music in a vehicle was a requirement. America's music machines became living loud over your passion, your emotion, your existence. Outdoors or on the open road, your sound is Kicker.
Music is my passion, my livelihood, and it's in my DNA. My pals at Kicker Marine Audio gave me a chance to take the music what I love and listen to at home, on stage, and in the car, onto the water. Hi, this is Jason Bonham, and I want to say a big thank you to my friends at Kicker Audio for inspiring the songs and the stories behind the music that inspires America. Go overboard!
This is your time. Something bad, your hands on the wheel, got a sexy touch. It's enough to make me and my Chevy blush. So long, take it all off the damn highway. Turn me on, I'll let you drive, baby. You can take it fast as you want to. Girl, little dirty looks damn good on you. Start me up, Stones on the radio. Girl, I love it when you let go. Long way, short way, in the wrong way. Get out on some 4x4 play.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for sticking around. As you can see, I've got two new faces on tonight. Of course, Aaron Surratt. You all know Aaron Surratt. He's been on quite a few times in the last couple months. But you don't know Peyton. So Peyton is joining us. She's with Oklahoma State University here in Stillwater. And Aaron's going to tell us a little bit more about Peyton.
So Peyton is a student that was hired for this program that we're going to get into a little bit more. But she is a senior at OSU majoring in microbiology. So I'm going to let Peyton tell you a little bit about what microbiology is.
Pretty much just how cells duplicate, their chemical compounds, and all of that kind of stuff. So on a micro level,
biology on a microscopic level.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
Really small, but a big brain. So Cameron, I mentioned Cameron as well. He is with us, but he's a little camera shy, but he's really good at the keyboard. So Cameron is going to be working on the keyboards tonight, answering your questions. So as you're seeing all these demonstrations we're going to be doing, oh, yeah, there he is. He is going to be answering your questions on the keyboard so that you can ask some really hard questions and Cameron can answer them, because you're going to see a lot of demos here tonight. So we're going to start off, well, Aaron, what are we going to start with?
Well, we're going to get into some displays, but first let me give you guys a little bit of background on how we got into this. So we were approached by Dr. Liz McCullough, who is an assistant professor in the Department of Integrative Biology at OSU, obviously, Oklahoma State University, which is here in Stillwater, for those of you that don't know. So it's our home college, you know, here in our hometown. And she approached us to build displays where you can actually visualize sound. Since we can't see air, you know, we want to, you know, show people what sound waves look like and things of that nature. Yeah. So we've put together some displays that will display that in the best we can. But she's also a, she's a research scientist in the field of auditory neuroscience. So this is really about how the brain works and perceives sound, how our ears process sound, along with how sound looks. So she got a grant to hire Peyton and also Cameron. And so they're getting paid to come over here and work with us. She hit up Steve Irby for support. We're using our shop here, and obviously, you know, financial support for building the displays. And the really cool thing about these displays is they're going to be traveling displays, and they'll be integrated. And there'll be, you know, descriptions on how they work, what they do, kind of the science behind them, so that they can travel to rural communities where kids don't typically get this type of education. And they can walk up, they can play with the displays, they can read the descriptions and get education that they don't typically get.
This is one of the things I love about working for Kicker and Steve Irby.
Yeah.
He encourages this kind of cool stuff. So not only does it benefit us, but it benefits the university and everyone that gets to see it and hear it.
The community and all that. And obviously we know Steve, being born and raised here, and a pillar of this community, is obviously going to, you know, support the community the best that he can. So that's all part of it.
Good stuff. Well, I think we've talked enough.
Yeah.
Show some cool stuff?
We might as well. So the first thing that we have to show you guys is just this echo chamber. It's down over here on the floor. I'm going to go ahead and get up and walk over here to the echo chamber.
You want to go?
Yeah.
So Peyton's got some woodworking skills, but she's been getting a little bit more as we've been working on these projects.
Yep.
But right here is the echo chamber. And basically what this is it's got I'm going to go ahead and spin it around so you can see the back. I'll tilt it up there. It's got the microphone mounted to the back here. It's flushed into the back of this box. And then the inside of this box is lined with acoustic treatment. And we can take, oh, I've got some stuff in there. I guess I should have taken that stuff out. That's all part of the display. That's the microphone case. We're going to use a KPM50 to run a sweep, but we'll set up the KPM50, which is one of our discontinued Bluetooth docks. And we can run a sweep from 20 to 20 in here. We can remove panels, so we can take foam out. We can see what the response curve looks like with no foam, with one foam on one wall, and all that good stuff. So it just, shows you measurement and how acoustic treatment can affect an environment. But also what's really cool about this particular display is that we've been molding and taking life casts of our ears, because we'll be able to mount our ears to the back of that box and flush the microphone with these ears that we molded. And I keep saying our ears because we actually did life casts of our own ears.
Yeah.
But we'll be able to stick them to the back, flush the microphone through, and see how the ear processes sound. So what we can do is get a baseline measurement of just the chamber, just to see what it does. So we can, ignore any of the peaks and valleys that are there. And then we can couple the ear to the microphone and run a curve and see how the ear processes sound. And not only that, but we can see the difference in my ear versus Peyton's ear versus Cameron's ear, and whoever else wants to get their ear molded. Ernie, I think you've got some pictures back there of ear getting molded. That's actually my daughter. I was doing some experimenting with her at the house because we want to put a kid's ear on this thing too.
Yep.
For sure.
Adult ears, different size ears, kids' ears. And there's Cameron fine-tuning one of the ears that we molded. But we're still refining our technique. It's pretty tough to do to get the air bubbles out. But we're using a substance called alginate. It's a powder.
Okay.
And you mix that in water, and basically, you put some kind of mold release. Basically, we put Vaseline on our ear.
Okay.
And pour that stuff in it with a solo cup around it. And that's actually the negative. That's the cast of the ear right there. And then we take a 2-part silicone, mix it together. It even has some flesh-colored pigment that we add in. And
look at that.
We were looking a little purple there.
Yeah, yeah. So we're still refining our technique on trying to get the flesh pigment correct. But yeah, it's really cool. We're able to take molds of our own ears, and we can couple the microphones to them and see the difference in how we all process sound.
A few years ago, we were all at CES. I think you were there with us. And there was a company that was going around to different booths, and they were putting like a spray foam into our ear.
Yeah.
And then they were creating, I think it was custom molded earbuds from that mold of our
exactly.
ear. Do you remember that?
I do remember
Yeah.
that. In fact, there's companies online where you can just send them a picture of your ear.
Yeah.
And they'll scan it, mix together this 2-part, epoxy or putty or basically to make a mold.
Yeah.
Stick it in the ear and customize your own earphones
That's
for you. You don't
so
even have to be
cool.
there. You don't have to be present. You just send in a picture. I don't know how they get sizing right doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Very cool. All right, so that's the echo chamber. Which,
Yes. Oh, by the way, here, let me show you guys. We actually have some ears here that we've molded. So, it's pretty cool. It's been a real fun project, and I've actually learned quite a bit, and maybe I can apply some of this stuff that I'm learning with these students here to my actual job. But yeah, there you go. So yeah, that's the echo chamber and what we're going to do with the echo chamber.
And you also discovered that these are rather tasty.
Oh yeah, so we had quite a few more that I was going to show, but when I went back to grab them out of the shop today, I noticed a bunch of gouges in it, and I realized that I guess rats or mice or something were chewing on them. So
They were eating our ear samples.
yeah,
so.
they must be sweet. When they get into wire harnesses, it's because they have that sweet coating on the wire.
Yeah.
So I imagine it's something like that. Something was appealing about it to them, that's for sure.
Hey, Ernie, I don't see, do we have any questions or anybody wanting to hear more about any of these topics?
Not yet.
Nothing?
Their minds are blown.
Okay, minds are blown. All right. All right, so what's next, Aaron? What else we got?
Okay, so next we've got the speaker array. So let's get up and go back here and check it out.
This is really cool, guys. Check this thing out. Go ahead, Aaron.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say that there's been some speculation that you can do some pretty interesting time travel with this.
Yeah,
Is that...
Oh, there's been all kinds of things said about this device as people have seen it. But basically what this is just an array of 8 speakers equally distanced around. And, it's all part of this, neuroscience thing and the auditory thing and trying to, perceive sound.
Okay.
Well, what this is set up for is you have to actually guess where the sound's coming from. So there'll be a switcher set up right here. You can switch between the 8 speakers, and you have to guess where the sound's coming from. Now, when it's coming from in front of you, it's pretty easy.
Right.
And people may go, I know exactly where it's going to be coming from.
Sure.
But when you get to these speakers behind you, it's different. It gets pretty freaky if you're playing a tone. If you're playing music that's dynamic, that was our experience, right, anyway. You play a single tone, though, and it gets pretty tricky. So, that's the whole guessing part of it, the whole neuro, I guess what I'm trying, psychoacoustics is what I'm trying to get at.
This brings up a great question. In high-end car audio, for years and years and years, there's a debate. Can you hear height? Can you hear height? So does this help to answer that question?
Not necessarily. This is more about localization.
Okay.
And one thing that we're going to do to add the science to it is provide like different shapes of cups.
Okay.
And maybe even some animal ears, because this is from the life sciences department at OSU. Yeah. So they've got carcasses and stuffed animals and all kinds of stuff over there.
Roadkill.
So maybe we could actually get some, like taxidermy style ears of animals or whatever, and put those up. But whatever we do, we'll have some different, cup shapes so you can play with how, they're placed on your ears and change the perception of sound. Because not all animals have their ears fixated like we do.
Sure.
Some are just straightforward. Some of them have to turn their ears, like horses you were saying earlier. They turn their ears to where the sound's coming from. So that'll help simulate.
It really
some
focuses
of those
on
things.
the anatomy of the ears. So like even when we have like a chair that you're going to be sitting in, when you're sitting down, these will be louder because they're right by your ears.
Sure.
Right on axis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So right there coming in. And you can't really hear the ones in the back because your ears are facing forward or to the side. So using all of the different animal ears will really help show how your anatomy is and localization and stuff.
Yep. What's interesting about that, Peyton, is that a lot of times we're doing listening room testing, and I'll do tours, and I'll tell people, cup your ears like this while you're listening to the music, and it completely changes the character of the music. And that's what you're talking about, is the shape of the ear. And of course, like a horse can actually articulate the ear for direction, I guess.
Yep.
So that's really neat that we're going to be able to show that in this environment.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, Aaron, we've got a big old subwoofer, 1 kilohertz. That's not doing anything.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, we've got this here because we're not just going to play 1K.
Okay.
We'll play different frequencies because I'm sure perception changes with frequency a little bit also.
Yeah.
But this is here to show that even when you get down to low frequency, the human anatomy can only hear so low.
Yeah.
And just like a lot of us bass heads know, and a lot of the people that tune in and watch this show, you get so low you see a speaker moving, but you don't hear any output.
Yeah.
So it's just to try to get that point across. Okay. And also, when it's not in, science demo mode, why not just play some regular music through it, and that way we can have some bass, and so we can have some fun with it that way as well.
We all love.
Yeah.
So these are CS 6.5s?
5 1/4.
5 1/4 all the way around?
Yes.
And these are pretty small cabinets, so we're not trying to get any bin bass out of these, really?
Nope, no bass out of these. It's basically just to play mid-range and upper frequencies, just a single frequency, single note, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Steven's going to get a close-up, make sure the audience gets a view of that.
Yep, that's our entry-level CS coax.
I bet you guys had a lot of fun building these things.
Yeah, we have had a lot of fun. It's been a really fun project.
Yeah.
We've been knocking it out, I think. We've been real productive because we've been working Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 8 to 5 for a month and a half, maybe?
Yeah.
So we've got quite a few things knocked out. I'm pretty happy with the progress we've made. And so now that school has started, their schedules are quite full now.
Yeah.
So we'll be working about 6 hours a week.
Okay.
Just putting the finishing touches on a lot of this stuff that we've already built.
Excellent.
So it's still a work in progress on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, not done yet, and I haven't actually had a chance to hear it yet, so maybe we can do a follow-up show. And actually, would that work with a microphone?
Possibly. We can play with it.
Try that.
Yeah, we can play with it. But yeah, I think we probably should do a follow-up show once we have everything finished up and dialed in and running real smooth.
Awesome. Okay. Well, let's go back to our station and we'll see what's next.
All right.
HRTF, head-related transfer function.
Yes, so HRTF, head-related transfer function. So this isn't going to be part of the displays that we're building for OSU, but this is something that Liz, the professor that hired the students, asked us to do for a paper she's writing.
Okay.
And this is all related. You know,
Sure.
So what this is Ernie, if you could go ahead and pull up some of those images of the HRTF measurement device.
This is the arc, yes?
Yeah, this would be the arc. Yep. Okay. So as you all can see there, we have this arch-shaped mechanism, and then we've got a Lazy Susan in the center there with a 3-inch little pedestal on the top. We've got some acoustic treatment on the thing, what you saw in the last photo. But what this is if you look up at the top, kind of just off the center, mounted at the top of the arc there, that's a 2.5-inch speaker.
Oh.
And what that's going to do is move around that arch every 10 degrees.
Okay.
And on that pedestal, on that Lazy Susan there in the middle, they're actually studying prairie voles right now.
Okay.
Which is a rodent. Ernie, pull up a picture of a prairie vole so the audience knows what
So
a prairie
cute.
vole
It's like
is.
a little hamster.
Yes. So they're studying prairie voles right now and how they react to sound, and they're trying to get information on how they communicate and things of that nature. There's Jeremy Brown in the background for you folks that know him. But anyway, so they'll actually take a prairie vole carcass
Okay.
and they'll, prop its head up somehow and set it on this Lazy Susan here, this pedestal, and they can move that speaker around every 10 degrees and take a measurement. They've got these tiny little microphones that are basically like really small hoses.
Okay.
And they thread these microphones through their backs of their ears
Okay.
so they can put them in place. And they'll do say, I don't know if it's 20 to 20K measurement, but I
Sure.
assume 20 to 20K measurement. I just always gravitate to that because
Yes.
that's how we hear.
Right,
We don't really hear up to 20K, but that's our standard for
We like to
measurement.
think we do.
Yeah. So they mount the mics in there, they move the speaker every 10 degrees, and then the mechanism also moves every 10 degrees this way, and also every 10 degrees the other way, so the whole arc will fold down. So they can get all these measurements. It's called head-related transfer function. So much like the ears that we're going to mount to the back of that echo chamber that we first talked about,
Okay.
that gives you like the transfer function with the ear in place.
Okay.
Well, this is a head-related transfer function. It's how the sound is processed as it hits the side of the animal's face and goes up into their ear canal and hits all the different shapes of their ear and things of that nature.
So Peyton, what's the practical application, what we're learning from this? What will we use this for?
So they're working on, Liz specifically is working on, like, she talks about, she's not just prairie voles, but
Sure.
like different mice and all that kind of stuff. So like she's working on finding the autism and how it affects the auditory and where it affects in the brain. And then also like figuring out with the prairie vole how they receive the sound and it goes and processes through.
Yeah, I took a tour of their lab the other day, of their facility, and they have mice phenotypes that they've bred with autism, with a autism
Wow.
pheno, and they're studying those. And as we know, folks with autism, they're sensitive to sound,
Right.
sometimes touch, but this is specifically for sound in what she's studying, and so how they react to louder sounds,
Yeah.
quieter sounds, and I don't think that's all that they're studying. I think it's just animal communication in general in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really interesting stuff.
Okay.
So
that-
anyway, that's what the HRTF mechanism is going to be for, and it's not just for prairie voles. That turntable is interchangeable,
Okay.
and also the reason it's a Lazy Susan is that can also be turned every 10 or 15 degrees,
okay.
so the subject can be turned,
Sure.
so they can get even that much more data.
So that'll be part of the traveling roadshow, or no? Oh, that's
no,
a
that will
separate-
actually
okay.
will remain at the lab in OSU, and I don't know if they'll continually use it.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll just be to gather data for the paper that Liz needs to write.
Sure.
But yeah, pretty
Okay.
interesting stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next up is the mechanical waveform demonstration.
Okay, cool. Well, to me, this is the really fun stuff
Yes,
because
yes.
you guys get to really visualize sound. And we're going to talk about resonance and things of that nature. So let's go ahead and just get right into it here. So the first thing I'm going to show you here is basically most of these mechanical waveform demonstrations are just going to show you what a waveform kind of does. And what they do is they create nodes and antinodes. So these aren't going to be accurate representations of what a waveform looks like traveling through the air, but it does give you, a pretty good visual of what a waveform does.
So what are you connecting to down there, Aaron?
So this is basically just a transducer, and it's got a shaft that comes out of the center and that you can attach this mechanism to. So it's basically a speaker without a cone.
Okay.
It's just a speaker with a shaft that we can connect these different things to.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and turn it on here. So I hope you can see that good on camera.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, check it out. So you actually can see that really good. So you see the areas that are moving versus the areas that are not moving. So those are going to be your antinodes, where you have a lot of movement. And these are going to be your nodes, just like in audio, or just like in a room. You have your places where you don't have output. You have some that the bass is really strong and it's really excited. That's going to be like the center of that antinode right there. And then you have places where there's cancellation.
Right.
So that's going to be a node,
It's interesting. We're looking at this. Many cars I've listened to over the years, when you're sitting in the driver's seat, properly seated, there's like an antinode. There's almost no bass. But then if you lean back 6 inches, it just pounds you.
Yeah, or even forward.
Or forward 6 inches, yeah.
Yep.
So that's what you're looking at here is that
You're
node.
basically, you're looking at a node right here where there's no output, basically, or very little, versus the other places in the room. And another thing that you can look at on this is that this area here that's moving is basically half of a sine wave. Then you have your 0 point. This is your other half of the sine wave. So that's a complete waveform right there.
What frequency are we looking at, Aaron?
So this is 43 hertz, but this isn't representative of the length of a 43 hertz tone because we have other variables in play here.
Okay.
We've got the tension and the mass of this spring.
Okay.
And, so that changes everything.
Sure.
Yeah. So just like a guitar string, the resonance doesn't stay the same as you tighten it or loosen it.
Yeah.
It gets either higher or lower in pitch. So same thing going on here. Another interesting thing, let's see if I can double frequency and make this thing work like it needs to, but at 43 hertz, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 antinodes. So 10 areas of a lot of activity. If we go up to 86 and double frequency, we should have about 20 antinodes because double the frequency is half the wavelength, right? Distance. So with this demonstration here, half the wavelength distance, if each wave is half the distance, then it should give us 20 nodes. Now we're at higher frequency, and you can't see, it's not really showing up on camera too well. But we do have area of activity here, a node here. We've got about 3 rings of activity here and a node here. So I can tell we've basically doubled in wavelength. So we'll have a better demonstration of that here in just a second.
That'll be hard to count.
Yeah, it is, and it's such little movement that it's hard to pick up on camera.
Yeah.
But I mean, theoretically, the theoretical is working in this case.
Yes.
So I'm going to go back down to 43 because that's just a cooler visual.
We can actually hear that spring moving too, generating some
and it takes a
sound.
minute for it to stop and settle in. So yeah, there you have it.
Wow, that's
so
neat.
pretty cool stuff. It's kind of visualizing sound there.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go over to the next demonstration here.
Okay, I'm not going to say it's a resonance tube. What's the proper term for it?
We're not going to that one
Oh,
yet.
not yet? Oh, okay.
We've got
Sorry.
multiples. We've got multiples here with
Jumping
this one.
ahead.
Sorry, trying to rush you.
Speaking of resonance, though, By the way, this is a kit that we purchased from a company called Arbor Scientific. I believe their website is arborsci.com, and all of these things came in a kit that we're showing you right now. So I think it was somewhere around $300, maybe a little bit more, but really cool kit. We were going to build a lot of this stuff, but we had a lot of other stuff to build. So we were like, hey man, for that price, you know, we could get the point across and buy it. So pretty cool place to go shop and get your scientific stuff. All right, so here's a demonstration here that's going to show what resonance is all about. So there's basically 3 pieces of spring steel here. And we've got a longer size one, a medium size one, and a shorter one. Okay. Well, just like with ports and subwoofer enclosures, longer is lower, right?
Right.
Shorter is higher.
Right.
Well, this will demonstrate that.
Oh, cool.
So let me go down to about 30 hertz and start. I think I need to be a little bit higher than that, actually.
There you go.
Okay, so as you guys can see now, we're up at about 58 hertz, actually. And the longest, let me turn that to the, oh, you're going to.
Get a little closer.
There we go. I turned it, Steven, so that it's.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, as you can see that at 60 hertz now, I think is where we've got our most movement. Let me go up a little bit. So I'm increasing in frequency, and it's starting to go down because we're getting away from its resonant frequency. And of course, we know that resonance is where something wants to move the easiest, right?
Yeah.
So as I slowly increase, then the middle length will start to take over. So as you can see, this one now is starting to move quite a bit. That's about the maximum out of that one here. I think I could turn the amplification up too. There we go. So there you go. The other 2 aren't moving, and the middle one's moving because we're at the resonance of that length. And again, we'll increase more. That one will stop as the shorter one begins to pick up in movement. And as I increase frequency, we're getting to the resonance of it. And then we get to the spot where it moves the most, and then it goes back the other direction. That's how we know resonance. So that happens to be 130 hertz is the resonance of that piece of spring steel right there. So here, let me turn that again for you. And it could be the frame rate of the camera at 130 hertz just isn't working out too well. There it goes. Yeah. So there's the resonance, different lengths, and showing you that resonance is lower when it's longer. Okay, so we've got another thing to show you here.
Show and tell.
And also, we're not going to show you this, but it comes with one of these plates that you put sand on. These are called a Chladni plate. I'm sure y'all have seen it online before when it makes the different patterns. Sound waves go out to the edge and they bounce back, and it creates nodes and antinodes. And those resemble themselves in patterns. As that wave bounces off the edge and comes back, you have areas of activity and then areas where you don't have activity, and that's where the sand settles in.
If they want to Google and watch some of those videos, what's it called?
A Chladni plate, Chladni.
Chladni plate.
Yeah, Chladni plate.
Yeah, there's some beautiful artwork they actually make with that technique too. It's just amazing.
So the kit comes with that as well. And then this right here, this is really the coolest demonstration of a waveform because it actually looks like a waveform. So I think 30 hertz is the sweet spot on this one to start. So I'm going to go down to 30 hertz.
That seems kind of low, Aaron.
Well, it's low for you. It's only for you, buddy. So let's see. There we go.
There it is. Look
at
that.
So I had to go up to 31 hertz. And again, that's not going to be a 31 hertz waveform length. So you have a complete waveform, right? So that's a half of a waveform. That's your other half of the waveform. So there's a complete waveform. So you're looking at 2 waveforms right here. So, but as you can see, we've got 4 antinodes. So antinode, node. We've got 4 antinodes, and we're at 31 hertz. So if I go up to 62 hertz, that's half the wavelength of 31, right?
Right.
So we should have 8 antinodes. Okay. So let's see if that applies.
There it is.
So I'm one cycle off. I said 62. I had to go to 61. But I'm sure there's a tolerance on this sine wave generator. But as you can see now, you have 8 antinodes. So
that's fantastic.
There you go. You know, half the wavelength.
Wow.
Each one gets half the distance, so you end up with more antinodes. So.
And that's really great for showing, like, even younger kids or some adults that don't even know much about sound, how the waves actually look.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard, like, you got to do all the sign and all that kind of stuff without getting into the math.
Right.
Just really visualizing the waves.
Yeah, you don't have to understand all that stuff for that to be cool, you know, and look cool and get the
I'm
point across.
mesmerized by it.
I can't stop playing with it. I mean, I've been steady playing with it since we've hooked it up. Everybody that comes back to the shop, of course, I'll hook it up for them and have to show it off.
Wow. Okay. So is that one more?
So that's all of the mechanical waveform stuff. Oh, actually, no, we did have one more. Basically, it's just a piece of spring steel. It's in a circle. You put it on there, and you get, it looks like an atom, basically.
Oh,
so,
cool.
well, we might as well.
Yeah. I'd like to see an atom up close.
So basically what it's doing is the same thing. Instead of just being in a straight line, it's doing it around this circle. And I think this one likes pretty low frequency, so I'm going to go down to 25 to start. There we go.
Wow.
So as you can see there,
I gotta get closer to see that.
Yeah, the camera's not doing real well with it, but it's getting the point across. There's some funky frame rate stuff going on there because it's not really looking like it's moving up and down quite like that.
Yeah.
But you can see how it deforms into kind of the shape of an atom. And we're at 29 hertz, so let's go up a little bit. Yeah, there you go. That's a little bit better. So let's increase frequency slowly.
Whoa.
And see we can add more. So we added another antinode and node as we went up a few cycles. We're not getting as much amplitude now, but
could a prairie vole jump through that?
Probably.
Yep, it's about that size.
If they jump, I bet they can.
Let's get one.
So anyway, there's just another example of showing you nodes and antinodes from this mechanical waveform device.
Very nice.
All right, so should we go ahead and get into the next one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You thought we were done, huh?
No, I was about to.
Oh, you were walking around. Okay.
No, Peyton's here all night.
Actually, we could go ahead and take this over here and just get that out of the way. We'll go ahead and pull this off.
Unveiled.
So, like I said earlier, you know, we can't really see sound travel through air, but we can see sound travel through lightweight materials like styrofoam. One thing that we really wanted to test out was called a Rubens tube. And what that is a pipe like this, but it's got a bunch of holes drilled in the top, and you couple a propane tank to it, and you light it on fire.
Oh, yes.
But then you couple
They wouldn't let us play with fire.
Right. Yeah, so that's not real safe for indoor displays and for kids and things of that nature. But you couple a acoustically transparent diaphragm to the end of the tube. You cap the other end off.
Okay.
And basically it works exactly like this, but it just does it with gas because gas is heavy and it sinks.
Okay.
So as you play information into that acoustically transparent diaphragm, it sends a wave through the gas, and then the gas changes in height, and so your flames change in height.
Yeah.
And so you're able to see, basically, it's like a flame, kind of like spectrum analyzer,
Hey,
for example.
There's a guy here in Oklahoma that builds fire pits with our speakers in them, and it modulates the flames as it's playing the music.
That's probably exactly what they do. Yeah, you can use a speaker also. It doesn't have to be an acoustically transparent material.
Sure.
But the cool thing about that is you can like play an instrument into it. If it's just like a balloon or something stretched over the end.
Yeah.
And it's not just a speaker playing music that way.
Cool.
So anyway, let's see if this thing is still fired up, and hopefully my Bluetooth connection didn't time out or anything. And okay, so this is called a Kuntz tube. K-U-N-D-T-S, if you want to look it up. It's called a Kuntz tube. I guess that's probably the dude's last name that came up with it.
Yeah, we didn't know how to pronounce it.
I don't know. A lot of people also call it a resonance tube. And we happen to find that the resonance of this particular tube, which is little less than 7 inches in diameter and 5 feet long. It's a 7-inch OD, and it's probably a little less than an 1/8 inch thick. 5 feet long, it's 110 hertz. So let's go ahead and play a little bit of 110 hertz through here.
Wow.
And see what it does. Let's give it a little bit more volume. So, just like we were seeing nodes and antinodes on the string, on the spring, and all of that stuff, you're seeing them right here in this tube at 110 hertz. So the high parts are your antinodes, and the low spots are going to be your nodes. And I believe Steven's getting ready to move in here with a close-up shot. I know with that lighting change that you guys just did definitely helped. But let's see if we can get a better image for you guys.
That is mesmerizing.
And
It
gals.
really is.
My gosh.
Yeah, this has been another one that we've been I've just pretty much left hooked up, and anybody that's come
Yeah.
back to the shop has checked it
Wow.
out. So, pretty cool stuff there. I'm gonna crank it up so you guys can see what it does with high amplitude. So you still have your nodes and antinodes. Stuff is just going really crazy.
It's like driving in a snowstorm.
So here's one thing that's really cool. I'm not really sure on the exact science behind this, but we have a couple of what I'm just going to go ahead and call nulls on either end. So all your activity is in the center, but you've got these nulls on either end of the tube. So no activity on this side, and also no activity on the other end. And by the way, if you guys can't tell, obviously we're capped off on that end, and we've got a speaker playing the 110 hertz on this end. So if 110 hertz is the resonance of this tube, we should be able to get some activity at all of the other octaves of 110 hertz, right? So let me go ahead and dial it down to 55 real quick, because that's going to be the lower octave of 110. So there's 55 hertz. I need to crank the amplitude up a little bit. Well, that was clipping. Did y'all hear that, by the way?
Yep.
That was clipping. That was square wave. So anyway, as you can see, only 1/2 of the tube now is activated. So 1/2 is activated, and the other half is your null. I heard one scientist explain that as it's like a vacuum that's created.
Oh, yeah.
You know. But yeah, 1/2 of the tube is activated, the other half is not. And then as I dial frequency up, let me turn the amplitude down because it goes crazy at 110. But as I dial frequency up, you'll see things kind of change. Here, let me give you.
Oh, it's walking.
Okay, so now we're back to 110. Turn that amplitude down a little bit. So now we've got the two nulls on either end. So now what's another octave of 110? Well, that's 220, right? And sorry if this gets a little obnoxious with the tones.
Yes.
But now that we go up to 220,
Wow.
now we've got 3 nulls. And as you can see, at higher frequency, even the nodes and antinodes are more defined.
Those are all 1 bead thick.
Pretty much. Much more defined at higher frequencies.
That's
So I'm going to go
crazy.
ahead and bump it on up. Let me turn it down a little bit. And then I'll bump it up to 440, because that's going to be your next octave.
That's starting to hurt.
Yeah, this one's the
Well,
most annoying.
now we get enough amplitude to actually do something. And as you can see, we've added another null. So every time you double frequency, you add another null, and your nodes and antinodes get a little bit more defined. There's not much difference in the definition here between 220 and 440, and I think it just has to do with the thickness of the
Oh, the beads.
the
yeah.
styrofoam. Yeah. All right.
I need some earplugs.
Pretty cool stuff.
Nobody in the audience can hear anyway because the mics are dead.
Okay, cool.
Oh,
Well, perfect.
that's unfortunate.
Oh.
No, the compressor went crazy. That
Oh, oh,
So they could hear us though, Ernie, right? When we were explaining things. So anyway, that's what the Kuntz tube is all about. Pretty cool stuff. Just another example of how we can take this stuff around to rural communities and show them what sound looks like.
well, and as we were talking about at dinner, I'd love us to take these to Knowledge Fest.
Yeah.
We're doing one in Dallas, of course, it's premature now, but we could start doing some of these demos to folks at Knowledge Fest and various other events that we participate in.
Yep.
And so not just hearing these great demo vehicles, but seeing what's making them do what they do.
Definitely.
Cool.
And maybe it'll even travel around on the XRV when we go
yeah.
to shows. We've talked about that, and so
Yeah.
people who come by our booth can have a chance to experience it as well.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
Good. Oh, got
Okay.
some questions? Pop them up. I mean, we look great, but nothing personal, gentlemen, okay? I don't see any questions.
They're talking about the array that is behind you, the speaker array behind you.
Okay. We don't see the questions.
Yeah, we don't see them.
You know?
No.
Can you change our view? You're showing us what the audience is seeing.
We're
not-
looking at ourselves in the
Yeah.
acrylic tube and
This is what happens in the live studio broadcast. Working out the bugs here. Oh, here we go. Okay,
Yes.
so Eric Humphreys. Eric, good evening, Eric. Thanks for being here with us. Do they use a mixer similar for post-production in movies to pan the sound for the array?
No, but we've talked about that and doing a microcontroller so that it's more automated and it's a little bit more tricky because we want to kind of make it a game where you have to guess where the sound's coming from. So we may do that in the future, but for right now, there's just going to be a speaker switcher right in the middle that will manually switch between the speakers. And I'll tell you, even when you know which speaker's playing because you set it up, especially the ones behind you, it's really hard to tell.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty trippy.
Psychoacoustics.
It really is.
Yeah.
Thanks, Eric. Next question. Larry Keller. Good evening, Larry. Does anyone know what subwoofer was in that other display?
So the only display that, if it was a display that we were talking about, that's a Comp R15 in that subwoofer enclosure.
Yeah, Comp
But
R15.
you could have seen any of the displays that we have around the room,
Yeah.
But if it's the display that we were talking about that is also associated with that speaker array and the switcher we were just talking about, that's a Comp R.
Be a great home subwoofer if you're looking to upgrade your home audio system too.
Yeah.
Dub Team DMD, thank you for being here. Why is there cancellations in line though?
In the line, so I'm assuming in the acrylic tube or in the
String.
in the string. Either way, that would be the same because what happens is you send the wave, you send the pulse through the string, and it hits the end and it bounces back. So your crests collide with your troughs, and they collide with each other and make so when your crest collides with your trough, that's going to be a node.
Okay.
That's an area of cancellation because two things are equal now and they cancel each other out.
Okay.
But in the other areas, then everything doubles. So that's going to be your anti-node, and that's why you get a lot of activity there. But basically, the wave is traveling through, it's bouncing off the end, coming back, and those waves are interfering and causing cancellation in spots.
Just like in a car.
Yep.
Okay, great question. Thank you. Next question. Sam Law. Good evening, Sam. What's the piece of equipment they're using to measure?
So it's head-related transfer function, and if you want to Google anything about it, just look into head-related transfer function, or HRTF for short. It's a head-related transfer function measuring device is what I've been referring to it as, our measurement jig. A lot of times we refer to scientific measurement devices as jigs.
Yeah. Okay.
At least like our Klippel. We call it the Klippel jig, where we measure all of our small parameters for our subwoofers and other speakers.
Which is another great show we got to do.
Yeah,
Some Klippel analyzing.
Yeah,
Have
yeah.
you seen the Klippel?
No.
Oh, it's fantastic. Another show.
Yeah.
We'll have you back. All right, next question. Notorious RVH, good evening. Thanks for being here. So it is a mechanical RTA.
Well, in a sense, but not really, because all of these devices that we've showed you have a resonance. So they're only going to be active at certain frequencies.
Okay.
But, you know, I showed you that example earlier where we doubled frequency and we doubled or we cut the wave in half, doubled the amount of antinodes. That happens at like every 5 or 6 cycles, you can add 1 antinode as opposed to doubling frequency and doubling the number of antinodes and nodes. If you increase by like 5 or 6 cycles, you just add 1 at a time. So yeah, I mean, kinda, but it doesn't show you the difference in output.
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't be able to do that.
So if we had 30 of these at different lengths, we could build a really challenging to use.
Sure, yeah. And you'd have to be able to see them all at the same time and somehow, you know,
we're not
meld
gonna
that
do
all
that.
together. Not necessarily an RTA, but more of just a display to show resonance and waveform.
Cool. Next question, please. Living Loud with Andy. Good evening, Andy. See you soon. So do we want the top or bottom of the wave hitting the meter, or do we want a combination or a half wave? That's a great question.
Oh, like an SPL competition? Well, man, my training over the years, and I don't know because I haven't done it in a long time, but it's all about quarter wavelength.
Quarter wave.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we use the quarter wavelength formula, and at least that's what we do. I don't know what guys are doing now, you know?
Yeah.
But when we were more heavily involved into it, before we started getting back into it, that's what we were doing. A lot of 6th orders and 4th orders and things of that nature. Now, I'm not sure if they're doing any kind of quarter wavelength formulas or what. I don't know if those guys are just demo guys and if they're still using big ported boxes with big ports for SPL. So I really don't know, Andy. I'm sorry, I can't really answer that question.
Good question, Andy. Thank you. Next question. Frank Sorry, Frank. Good evening, Frank. Are there any 3-way components on the horizon?
I don't know. You know, that's something that we talk about from time to time. So, you know, we've kicked it around. We've got some requests from our dealers.
Yes.
So, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not.
Yes, and actually, Frank, this is a great question because just a couple weeks ago, we hosted some of our premier dealers from around the country in Canada. And at the very end, we always have them talk to us about what they want to see in the future. And that topic always comes up, 3-way component systems.
So I say
we're listening.
I say maybe, maybe not, but I really hope so.
Yeah, we're listening. And ultimately, it's up to Mr. Irby. And the right-hand ear of Mr. Irby is Mr. Surratt.
And our product planning team and you know, those folks as well.
There's a lot of people involved, sure. So yeah, great question. Thank you. That's it for questions. Okay, Peyton, any final thoughts? Anything you want to bring up?
No, I'm excited to show everyone and try everything out and see what everyone thinks about it.
Has it been fun?
Good.
Yes.
I think it's been fun. It's been fun for me. It's been a
learning experience for me.
A little bit of a different, you know, thing for me from the day to day, and that's always cool. So, and it's been a pleasure working with Peyton and Cameron.
Yep.
I was wondering, you know, when they were like hiring some college kids, I was like, man, how's this going to be? Is this like going to be like working on the group project with that one student that doesn't take care of business, you know? But no, both of them are, they're always on time, ready to work, and we've been getting a lot of stuff done.
Yeah,
so it's been a real pleasure.
Really fun.
What was the backup plan if Kicker said no?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Liz that.
We probably would have gone in Cameron's
But
garage.
Kicker, right. Kicker wouldn't say no to something this cool. So.
Yeah, it is. It's right up our alley, so to speak. So, all right, well, folks, we're going to take a break here. We're going to let these folks go home for the evening, and then we're going to finish up our show with our usual housekeeping. So stick around. We'll see you in a couple minutes. Welcome back. Thank you all for being here again. That was fantastic. Completely different show than I think we've ever done before. Of course, we've done a lot of shows, and I haven't done all of them, but that was certainly unique for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. What a great time. Thanks again, Cameron and Peyton. Thanks for being here and having dinner with us. We appreciate it, and hopefully we'll see you for the next version of this show when all the equipment is done and we can do some more demos. So that being said, a couple of weeks ago, we had a really interesting and unique tour. There was a gentleman traveling on business, and he was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and his flight got canceled. So he had some time to kill. So he went on his phone, he said, hey, Stillwater Designs kicker is only an hour and a half from Tulsa Airport. So he decided to hop in his rental car and come here for a tour. His name is Albert, and Albert has watched this show, and he might be watching tonight. Albert, if you're watching right now, please say hello in the chat there. I'd love to call you out. But so Albert is a big kicker fan. He loves this show, and I just happened to be walking through the doors when he was here, so I took him on a tour, and we took some great pictures with Albert. So Ernie, if you could pop up my laptop here. So here's Albert, of course, in the UnMasked studio. And he got to sit behind the chair there, and Herkimer did freak him out just a little bit, so Herkimer's doing his job properly. So there's a good picture of Albert. And then there's a close-up. His daughter actually has a 20-something daughter, and she's getting a kicker system put into her Hyundai. And so we talked some ideas on what we might want to put in there. And after he had a demo, well, I'll come to the demo in just a second. Of course, there's Herkimer doing what he does best in a little selfie action. But after he had a demo in this thing, he said, you know, my daughter might need a little more than I was planning on. So yes, Albert did sit in the Bronco, and he hopped out of there going, wow, that's pretty intense. Now, he doesn't have a whole lot of hair going on there, but his beard was definitely moving. So it was a fantastic demo. And of course, that's Mr. Josh Fletcher, part of the build team back there. Josh loves doing demos. It's always nice when you're walking through the building with a group of people and Josh is like, hey, here, let's do a demo, man. This thing is awesome. Always a crowd pleaser. And here's the final image. Albert is hanging out in our museum. We like to call it the Private History Museum for Mr. Irby. And this is part of the tour you only get to see if you have a reservation and the authorization to be in this part of the building. And so, of course, this is such a beautiful part of our history, and pretty much everything that we've ever done is on display in here, and Albert loved it. We also had an opportunity to talk to Mr. Steve Irby when Albert was here. We just happened to run into Steve in the break room, so Albert got to talk to Steve for a few minutes, and it was just a great experience. And I'm telling you all this so if you happen to be in the area, please let us know you're here, and we will accommodate you as best we can. We do have the Visitor Center open Monday through Friday from 9 until 5, but if you want to get the behind-the-scenes tour like Albert did, get a hold of us in advance, let us know you're coming, and we'll make sure someone's available to give you that fantastic tour. So that was a great experience. Coming up, I also want to show you the questions and answers, the Jacob Lucky section. Jacob is obviously not here tonight. Jacob is traveling to Dallas tomorrow. We have a Dallas Knowledge Fest, Mira Knowledge Fest coming up. And so JW is going to be there. That's why he didn't have cake with us tonight. Jacob's going to be there doing some training, and so I get to do his part for him tonight. You're welcome, Jacob. So first question, I have a pair of KM654L. Those are marine speakers. L is LED, so they're LED lit marine speakers. One of them works fine, but the other one doesn't work unless I push lightly on the cone. What could be the issue? Is the speaker bad? It sounds like bad tinsel leads. So if the speaker doesn't play, you put a little pressure on it. Apparently that voice coil is making connections, so then it's able to move, but when you release it, it is disconnected again. So it's actually an open circuit, or the voice coil itself has come undone, so that speaker doesn't need to be replaced. So great question, simple solution, replace the speaker. Next question, I've got a 2004 Ford Ranger with an upgraded 300 amp alternator. 300 amp alternator in 2004 Ford Ranger, go. When I was driving the car, every time I step on the gas, my amps go into protection mode. Now he says amps, so there's clearly more than one amplifier, and they go into protection mode when he steps on the gas. They come back on after 1 or 2 seconds. What could be the issue? The fact that they're shutting off and coming back on, it does sound like protection mode. I suspect that that alternator is putting out more voltage than the amplifiers are rated for. So basically the amplifiers have a low threshold of about 9.5 to 10 volts and up to about 15.5 volts. So if you're spiking above 15.5 volts, the amplifier is actually shutting down to protect itself so it doesn't burn up the output section or destroy the power supply. So I would check the alternator's output under load and see if that's what's happening. Now, a typical multimeter, unless it's a really fast, more expensive model, it's not going to be fast enough to see those dips and peaks in the voltage. So you want to make sure you're using a proper meter to do that load testing. Third and final question. My subwoofer was working fine and playing loudly until yesterday, and now it doesn't produce any sound. I tried to push in the speaker, but it won't move at all. Ding, 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 ding. If the speaker doesn't move at all, I think we all know what's going on here. It almost feels locked up. I've got a Comp C12, if it helps, and I'm powering it using a CXA 1200.1. Let me say that again. A 1200.1, which we all know makes 1200 watts into 2 or 1 ohm. On a Comp C12, which I think is rated for about 350, maybe 450 watts RMS. So we've got a lot more power than needed. Now, as we all know, power is not really the problem in most scenarios. Generally, it's a lack of power and a clipped signal, which generates a lot more heat than actual music does. So in this situation, you've probably seized up that voice coil and it's actually come delaminated and is completely bound up in the gap, which means the speaker physically cannot move anymore. So yes, that subwoofer needs to be replaced. The solution, if you want to keep using that amplifier, which is great, you could add a second subwoofer. So now you've got two 15s soaking up that juice. Or you can use a multimeter, a test tone, and you can gain down your amplifier so that it's not producing 1200 watts, so it's producing the rated power about 450, maybe 500 watts. So you can actually take that 1200 watt amplifier and gain it down to be a 500 watt amplifier, and then it'll be happy all day long. So there's two options for you. Personally, I would double the cone area, double the power, and make a whole lot more boom. So those are the 3 questions and answers from Jacob Lucky. Thank you, Jacob. Have a safe trip tomorrow. Next up, let's look at some, let's look at some pictures of things that make you go, huh. So Ernie, let's take a look at these. Actually, Ernie sent these to me today, so you know they're good, right? So here we've got what looks like a power ground block for a JL amplifier. And if you'll notice, it looks like the power and ground wires are actually touching one another. So this is going to make some horrible sparks and or maybe even a fire if it's not fused properly. That's going to be a major problem. So clearly we need to clean this up before we plug it into the amplifier. Next up, this is a pretty unique situation. So they're using a fuse, which is good. We always recommend fuses for everything. But if you look at how he's got this fuse sort of clamped in here to the battery post, that doesn't look very secure. And that could certainly be yanked out without a whole lot of trouble. But the fuse hasn't blown, so that's good, right? Next image, here's the same install, different version of that, different angle. You can see here where it looks like this actually is getting slowly pulled out of where it's been clamped down on there. So it's definitely either has failed or it's going to fail real soon. Next, this is an interesting way to make a speaker that doesn't fit. So it looks like an OEM speaker here, a Wizard with a Wizard cone tweeter. Instead of a coax or a component tweeter, they're simply using a second cone that vibrates at higher frequencies, resonates at higher frequencies. We call it a Wizard cone. And then they've got a piece of block wood here that is apparently holding the speaker onto the door. So this probably makes some sound, but not very good sound. Now here's another situation that looks nice. We've got, looks like a kinetic battery beneath the seat. It's probably in a pickup. And then we've got these 2 battery posts on here. And it looks like, I'm not sure if that's 2, it almost looks like there's oh no, that's 2 separate wires. Okay, good. I thought they were shorting the battery terminals together, which of course there'd probably be a fire if they did that. Oh, and Ernie's, oh, okay, let me zoom in. Yeah, I didn't see that till, okay, there we go. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Ernie's shouting at me right there. Right, my little hand is massaging it. That right there. So, Ernie, this is why you shared this one. Okay. So, yeah, there's a screw and some wires thrown in there as a reducer ring. And actually, it looks like right here, there was probably a bare wire that arced and sparked. So, yeah, that's what's going on there. Thanks, Ernie. And here's another great shot. Look at these. They're using, what, 3 standoffs. So they got screws that are too long. Now, I do got to say, they probably did this so they didn't put screws through the gas tank or maybe the fuel line or something. So that's good. But really, this is not a very safe way to mount this amplifier. So let's not do that again. And here's another great picture. I'm going to zoom in on this one a little bit too, because it looks like they're using a video RCA coax style cable and then connecting it to, this may be an inline fuse perhaps?
I think that's a backup camera is what it is, and it's outside the vehicle, out in space.
Okay, so Ernie's theory is this is a backup camera install. And of course, this is the tire of the vehicle, which is also looks like they need to buy some new tires. Looks like smoky burnout tires, actually. But yeah, it's amazing this thing has even lasted this long. So yeah, here's your problem, sir. And then here's a beaut. Look at this. This looks like it may have sparked a couple times over here. Perhaps that's what all that's for. But yeah, this is a hot mess. And then I love this bungee cord that's holding the battery down. That's just... But at least the battery's from Walmart, so you know they're going to take it back. So that's a good thing. All right, folks. Once again, if this is your vehicle, we apologize. We're not trying to laugh at you. We just like to poke fun at ourselves and as an industry and say, you know what? There's better things we could be doing with our installations. So we've seen some funny stuff. Now, for great picks of the week, I actually wanted to go over to the Facebook group that we all know and love, because there are some great installs on here. So Kicker Club, Ernie, can you pop up these images here? So this is a Kicker Club, 28,000 members. This is a great install. These are definitely some retro solo Barrick 15s. And I love this. I'm not even sure what to call it, because it's certainly not a grill. It's not a protective measure. But this little element right here, that is really cool. So that's pretty cool to call out. And then they've got a nice install, some ZX amplifiers, so some modern kicker amplifiers and some vintage subwoofers. So that's a pretty cool install. There was another one here that we looked at around dinner time tonight that we all really like too. I want to jump down here a little bit. Oh, did I passed it up? Oh yeah, right here. Yeah, check this out. This is a very unique enclosure. I want to see if I can zoom in a little bit. So look at this enclosure. So he's got a Solo X12 in there, and then look at this vent over here. So it's vented on this side, not on this side, but on this side, and then this large enclosure. This is a really cool box. I don't know who built this, but that is really a good looking box. You can see up here the amplifiers, looks like down for sound amps. They're not hooked up yet, so this is a preliminary picture, but that's pretty nice. And then down here there's another picture inset of his door panel. Look at that, a couple of our ST, it looks like 9s, I think, a couple of ST 9s in there. So this system is going to rock up in Oregon. So thank you guys and girls for being kicker enthusiasts and putting up some great stuff. So now we're going to talk about some upcoming events. As I mentioned, Mira Knowledge Fest is happening in Dallas, Texas this weekend. Or wait, today, what is today, Tuesday? It starts Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And so JW is going to be there, Jacob's going to be there, some of the other marketing folks. There's actually going to be quite a few from R&D as well. Joe Hobart's going to be there, Caleb, one of his newer guys. And it's just a great opportunity, if you're in the industry, a great opportunity to learn from some of the best in the business. There's some great seminars, and there's really a lot of stuff that you can be learned as long as you've got an open mind and you go to these sessions. And of course, all the great demo vehicles and all the great products and stuff you can see as well. So if you're available and you're in the area and you're part of the industry, definitely check it out. It is worthwhile use of your time. In addition, we have Ocean City Jeep Fest coming up in Ocean City, Maryland. And that is a huge Jeep event on the beach. And Carlos Jimenez on our team is going to be out there. And they actually have one of our retail partners is selling products there on the beach, and they're doing the installs right there. And they will have Jeeps lined up for days, literally for days, as they're doing these installs live on the beach. So that's a pretty cool event if you're in the area, if you're into Jeeps, you're into audio, or you're just into a good time, check that out. A great event coming up this weekend as well. In addition, in 3 weeks, we have the Sand Sports Super Show in Orange County, California. And that is a huge event for power sports. So your side-by-sides, UTVs, ATVs, motorcycles, anything off-road that loves sand, that is a great event. And of course, we're going to have a huge presence there as well. So if you're in the area and you want to talk to some kicker guys and girls and just hang out with us, please join us at those events. And of course, there's a whole bunch of bass wars coming up. Summer is beginning to wind down. It is still wickedly hot outside, but because summer's winding down, this is your last couple of opportunities to visit some of these shows. So go to our Kicker Facebook page, go to the events section, and you can pull up all of the bass wars that are coming up. So we want to support those guys and girls out there at those competitions. So now let's talk prizes. Before I give our stuff away, I want to remind you, hey Ernie, can you pop up my laptop real quick? I want to remind you that the Kicker giveaway, Living Loud with Andy 5K giveaway, is ending in 7 days. So you've got 1 week, and it's a $1,500 system. You as the winner, you get to choose what products you want, up to $1,500. So if you've already got a nice set of speakers and an amp, maybe just add a subwoofer and an amp to it. Whatever it is, you simply get up to $1,500 to choose what you want in this giveaway. So 1 more week for this event, and it's a great giveaway. 4,540 entries. You could be the winner, so be sure to enter and enter often. So, okay, so I'm allowed to talk about that. All right, so Ernie just authorized me to let you know that Andy is going to be here in Stillwater next Tuesday, a week from today. He's going to be giving away that system from the studio. So a very special show for Andy next week, Kicking It with Andy, right here in Stillwater, Oklahoma, in the UnMasked studio. So you're going to want to tune in, very special event, and Andy might have some other things to share with the audience as well. So that'll be a good time. Thanks, Ernie, for letting me talk about that. That's fantastic. Okay, so let's give away the stuff we're giving away tonight. So Bill, do we have our 3rd place winner? Who is our 3rd place winner? Number 3, Brian T. from Washington. Brian T. Washington. Woohoo! You are the winner. What do you win? Wait, I've already forgotten what you win. You get the tumbler, the Kicker 50th anniversary tumbler. You get 2 koozies and, of course, a shirt that fits you properly from the UnMasked limited edition. So that is the 3rd place winner. 2nd place winner, who do we got? Winner number 2, Jason L. from Tennessee. Jason L., Tennessee, you are 2nd place winner. You get the EB400 in-ear monitors, 2 koozies, and the UnMasked t-shirt. So thank you very much for playing and winning. And drum roll, who's the number 1 winner tonight? Roger L. from Florida. Roger L. from Florida, you're the number 1 winner tonight. That means you get the Bullfrog, the BF100, 2 koozies, and of course a t-shirt that fits properly. So thank you guys and girls for playing, and thank you guys for winning tonight. It's fantastic to have you. So, Ernie, are you ready? We're going to close down the show. You ready? Okay, he's ready. All right, so next Tuesday, 7:30 p.m., tune in for Kicking It with Andy right here in Stillwater, Oklahoma. He's going to be giving away some cool stuff, $1,500 worth of cool stuff. And then our next show, the next UnMasked show, will be Tuesday, September 5th. And I want to let you know, Mr. John Myers, he is in Durban, South Africa all this week. And he is touring car audio shops down there. He's taking a ton of pictures, and he's going to have some great stories and great pictures to share when he gets back. So you're going to want to tune in for that. The guys and girls down in South Africa, they do things a little different, and we're going to show you what they do. So thank you all for being here tonight. We appreciate it. It's great to have you. Happy birthday to our 3 guys, Tim, Steven, and JW. And we'll see you next time. Good night.